This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 72.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 72, and in today's episode, we will be talking about building your own online brand. This is something very important, and this is something that many of us neglect, especially at the beginning of our online venture, and this is exactly why I have chosen this as a topic for today's episode. So, first of all, why do you need to build an online brand? This is very important because you want to be different from everyone else. There are probably hundreds, if not thousands of websites that could be offering the same product as you, or the same service, or the same content, or very similar content. So you need to stand out somehow. People need to remember you. And building your online brand is one of the main ways to make that happen, to help people remember your brand and remember who you are and what you do. Now, there are several ways to go around it, and you have to find your own way. And this is the very first tip for building your online brand, is finding your own voice and finding your own way of being authentic. So what I have done to the Extra Paycheck brand, if you have been following for long enough, before it was really us, and I was trying to position it as this like big serious company, and everything was saying we at the Extra Paycheck blog, us, our company, blah blah blah, and it wasn't authentic. It wasn't honest either, because most of the time it's actually just me who runs the whole brand. And another thing that makes it hard to kind of push it as a brand, because when you put it as us, as a company, people don't see a face behind it. And I know that many of you listening aren't comfortable putting your face out there and putting your voice, but I think this is really, really big and something that could help you a lot if you actually decide to go ahead with it and make your face kind of public. You don't need to do that. Once again, you absolutely don't need to if you're really uncomfortable with it. And I was uncomfortable with it as well at the beginning, but with time I realized that showing my face there to my readers, to my audience, and kind of trying to connect with them by doing this podcast and being more personal and kind of just being myself there, showing off my voice and not trying to be someone else, helped me connect with the people, and it helped my audience feel closer to me. It helped them trust me more. It helped me build my credibility. So that whole building a brand in my case was kind of showing exactly who I am as a person and not as a company, and kind of being more straightforward and honest about what Extra Paycheck is and who exactly is behind it and what I'm doing. So that's one of the first tips that I'll offer. And even if you don't want to show your face and really reveal your personal details, if you're not a big company, stop saying us, stop saying our company, just say I, and just, give your name. If you don't want to give your real name, come up with an alias, come up with a nickname of some sort, and say, well, I run this website, I run this blog, a real human is behind it and not some big corporation. This will help a lot, because I have been noticing a shift. More and more people are kind of leaving the big websites and going to a more smaller websites, niche websites, something more personalized and something more human. So this will be a lot of help when you are showing yourself as a human and not as some huge corporation. So there you go, another tip. Another very important thing to do on your website, on your blog, is to write a proper About Me page. If you want more details on that, you should listen to episode number 12 of the Extra Paycheck podcast, which I did with Amanda Berlin, and she gives out a lot of tips on how to write a proper About Me page, and I'll just share a few of them here. Your About Me page isn't really about you. A shocker, right? At the very, very beginning of your About Me page, you should be writing the benefits that people will get from reading your blog or reading your content, whatever your content is, or using your website. You should tell people what's in it for them. You should tell your audience what they will get from reading your site and not what you will get from having them read your site. So that's number one. Make sure that you're telling them what are the benefits and what they will get out of your website. And then you can go into the story of yourself and explaining who exactly you are and why you are doing this website and what is your goal and what you're trying to achieve with the website. But at the very, very first, you have to show off the benefits that people will get from being on your website. Another thing also as important is being very social. And when I'm saying social, I mean being everywhere on social media. You need to have your Facebook account, your Instagram account, your LinkedIn account, your YouTube account, whatever they are. I would suggest creating at least all of them. You would probably not use all of them because you would figure out that some of those social networks are working well for your brand and for yourself, and some of them aren't. For instance, some people refuse to use LinkedIn. Some people prefer to not jump on the Snapchat trend, or I don't know, Instagram, Pinterest. There's just so many networks that are really huge and really important. The truth is you won't need all of them and you wouldn't be using all of them, but I would recommend at least creating an account at each and every of those networks, just because one day you might use it and you might decide to try something new. So it's important to have those accounts. And here is another tip. When you're registering your blog, when you're coming up with your brand, I would suggest maybe doing a little research and see if that kind of a brand name or username is available on those social media platforms. Once again, you don't need to have the exact name. For instance, on YouTube, I think my username is Extra Paycheck TV or something like that, because Extra Paycheck was taken. And the funny thing is that it was taken by another account that I've created in the past, and I totally forgot what was the username, the password for that account. So I can't use that. I kind of screwed myself over. But you could use something different like Extra Paycheck TV or anything of that sort. But it would be more interesting and easier for you to have people follow you if you use the same name across all platforms. So that's something you should consider when registering your social media accounts and registering your blog name. Maybe check out, maybe those usernames are still available and you could grab them, and it will kind of help you quite a bit. Now, you have all those accounts, and as I already said, kind of skip through it. You have your website, you have your blog. And that's another important thing. Your blog has to be somewhat authentic, and it has to be original. It has to stand out as well. And you don't need to spend lots of money to build super sophisticated website. You could use a theme of some sort. You could use a free theme or a paid theme for your blog, but do spend some time customizing it so it looks different, so it looks authentic, so it looks like yours. And make sure to spend some time figuring out how to build a good looking website. And I'm not talking about just, the latest technology, latest trends in a website, but make sure it's easy to navigate and it's simple enough. Make sure you don't throw everything at your audience, as in when they come to your website, they will be completely lost where to go, what to do, and they will just click away from your website. Make sure you make it easier for them to understand who you are, what the website is about, and why they are there, and where should they click, what should they read on their website. This is also rather important. I've spent a lot of time thinking of the Extra Paycheck blog to make it look the way it looks now. And so, I spent a lot of time redesigning it, and I spent even more time kind of planning out what I'm going to put on that website, on that blog, how was I going to make it simpler? How was I going to make it more easy to navigate? So all those things matter, and you should spend some time working on that. If you can also hire someone to do it for you. But in any way, whichever way you decide to go, make sure that your website or your blog looks great, is easy to navigate, and simple to look at, that it doesn't scare the people away. So once you have your blog, once you have all your social media accounts, it's time to start posting content on your blog, on your website. And you have to you have to make a schedule for yourself of when you're going to post content, and it's really important to stick to the schedule. I think I've mentioned that in many different episodes and my blog posts as well, and I am guilty of not respecting that all the time, but I've never really made a promise about my blog. I've made a promise about my podcast that I will have an episode coming out every Monday, and I have been able to stick to this promise for the past 71 episodes. This is the 72nd, but I want to do that for my blog as well, and this is what you should be doing. The thing is, when you're consistent with your content, when you're consistent with your posting, people will have an idea of when they should come to your blog to read new stuff. Because if you're not consistent, if you post like something new to your blog once a month and then once every day for a week and then you go silent for 3 months, you're going to lose people who start liking your website, because they will come back and there's nothing posted, and they come back next week and there's nothing new on your website, and eventually they'll just forget about your website, they'll forget about your brand. So make a schedule for your content posting, make a schedule for your online brand, and let people know what the schedule is. Let people know when you will be coming out with new content, and make sure, most importantly, to respect that schedule, respect that promise to your audience. Another thing that you should be doing, I know this is a hard one as well, you should be doing more videos and audio recordings, podcasts, stuff like that. I know it sounds really, really complicated, but it doesn't have to be. It's important because when you are everywhere, people start noticing you more and more often. Sometimes I get emails from people telling me they found me on YouTube and they ended up finding my website after that. And first of all, where I'm going with this, first of all, is that when people see you on Facebook and someone sends them the link to one of your YouTube videos, and then they stumble upon your podcast, they kind of feel like they have already met you before, and they kind of give this trust to you. They're like, this guy seems very serious about what he does. He's everywhere. And it doesn't matter what your niche or your industry is, but you have to try to be everywhere, not just social media and your blog, but try to be on YouTube, try to be on radio shows, try to get yourself invited to podcasts, which isn't really hard. I can tell you this much. A lot of podcast hosts, a lot of podcast shows, they're constantly looking to interview new people on their show. I am one of these people. I am constantly looking for new entrepreneurs and people who want to be on my show, and sometimes it's not that easy to find them. So whatever your niche is, chances are there's a podcast about that niche, because podcasts have been like exploding recently. There's like so many new podcasts being added every single day. And you should simply go to iTunes store and start looking for a podcast in your niche, or just Google it. Let's say your niche is, wristwatches. I'm sure if you Google the phrase wristwatch podcast or watch podcast, you will find some podcasts, some people that are talking about that very subject, and you could approach them easily and tell them, hey, look, I have this website that I've been running for I don't know how long, and I concentrate on wristwatches. I would love to be a guest on your show, because I think I could contribute something, give something to your audience, give some value and some interesting. We could have an interesting conversation, and those people will be more than happy to have you on their podcast. Now, if you don't want to start your own podcast, I understand that, because it's not as simple and it does take a lot of time away from you. You could do YouTube videos. And it doesn't have to be, once again, your face and you talking to the camera. I know a lot of people have the fear of talking to the camera. I'm not 100% comfortable in front of the camera, but I will try doing more videos. What you can do, though, you can repurpose your content from your blog. So whichever articles you wrote, you could kind of either read them into a microphone and add some image and upload that to YouTube, or you could pay someone to make an animation video, or you could even buy some software to make animation videos to do that. But do post your content everywhere you can, because once again, the more people see you, the more they will trust you and the more they will recognize you and see you as an expert, see you as someone serious who is everywhere. One of the greatest examples of this very moment is Gary Vaynerchuk. If you look him up, well, I don't even have to look him up, but if you look him up, he is completely everywhere. He does videos on Snapchat, on Facebook. He does Facebook Live. He's everywhere. There isn't a single corner of internet that I look at this moment and I do not see something from Gary Vaynerchuk or something about him. So this guy has been known as like this real hustler. He works really hard. He is very ambitious and has very big dreams, and he's working for them. But the fact that he is everywhere kind of makes people see him as an expert, and people who have never heard of him, they're like, hey, I've seen this guy before. I've seen his like videos. They're really cool. Or I've heard this quote from him, or whatever that is. So try to be everywhere. Try to help people recognize you. All right, I guess that's about it for today's episode. These were the tips on helping you grow your own online brand. I hope you enjoyed them. If you have any questions or suggestions about these tips, or if you wanna add something, or if something isn't clear, please go ahead and ask me those questions. You can simply post them at extrapodcast.com/72. This is the show notes page for this very episode, and this is where you could post your comments in the comment box, and I will try to answer them as best I can. Also, head over to extrapodcast.com/iTunes in order to subscribe to the show, review it, and rate it, which will help the show tremendously. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next Monday.